Today I have for you on this 4th of July weekend, today is of course not the 4th of July, but it's the weekend of it in the United States, a piece on liberty. American conservatives, I think, will agree with this. It's one of the things conservatives, Americans, and traditionalists have in common, is what Chesterton generally says here, that the home, your property, is the safest place for your actual liberty. You can do virtually anything you want. The church defines freedom as being free to do the correct thing, your duty, versus liberty, which is often just equated with license. In fact, Chesterton in this piece kind of goes there. The home is not, he says, the most constrained, boring place. It's the place of anarchy. You can do whatever you want in your home, generally speaking. It's an interesting observation he makes. Let me know what you think of this at the end. The Cell and Chamber of Liberty by G.K. Chesterton. An excerpt from his landmark work, What's Wrong with the World. Of all the modern notions generated by mere wealth, the worst is this, the notion that domesticity is dull and tame. Inside the home, they say, is dead decorum and routine. Outside is adventure and variety. This is indeed a rich man's opinion. The rich man knows that his own house moves on vast and soundless wheels of wealth, is run by regiments of servants, by a swift and silent ritual. On the other hand, every sort of vagabondage of romance is open to him in the streets outside. He has plenty of money and can afford to be a tramp. His wildest adventure will end in a restaurant, or the yokel's tamest adventure may end in a police court. If he smashes a window, he can pay for it. If he smashes a man, he can pension him. He can, like the millionaire in the story, buy a hotel to get a glass of gin. And because he, the luxurious man, dictates the tone of nearly all advanced and progressive thought, we have almost forgotten what a home really means to the overwhelming millions of mankind. For the truth is that to the moderately poor, the home is the only place of liberty. Nay, it is the only place of anarchy. It is the only spot on the earth where a man can alter arrangements suddenly, make an experiment, or indulge in a whim. Everywhere else he goes, he must accept the strict rules of the shop, inn, club, or museum that he happens to enter. He can eat his meals on the floor in his own house if he likes. I often do it myself. It gives a curious, childish, poetic picnic feeling. There would be considerable trouble if I tried to do it in an ABC tea shop. A man can wear a dressing gown and slippers in his house. Well, I am sure that this would not be permitted at the Savoy, though I never actually tested the point. If you go to a restaurant, you must drink some of the wines on the wine list. All of them if you insist, but certainly some of them. But if you have a house and garden, you can try to make hollyhock tea or a convolvulus wine, if you like. For a plain, hard-working man, the home is not the one tame place in the world of adventure. It is the one wild place in the world of rules and set tasks. The home is the one place where he can put the carpet on the ceiling or the slates on the floor if he wants to. When a man spends every night staggering from bar to bar, from music hall to music hall, we say that he is living an irregular life. But he is not. He is living a highly regular life, under the dull and often oppressive laws of such places. Sometimes he is not allowed even to sit down in the bars, and frequently he is not allowed to sing in the music halls. Hotels may be defined as places where you're forced to dress, and theaters may be defined as places where you're forbidden to smoke. A man can only picnic at home. Now, I take, as I have said, this small human omnipotence, this possession of a definite cell or chamber of liberty, as the working model for the present inquiry. Whether we can give every Englishman a free home or of his own or not, at least we should desire it, and he desires it. For the moment we speak of what he wants, not of what he expects to get. He does not merely want a roof above him and a chair below him. He wants an objective and visible kingdom, a fire at which he can cook what food he likes, a door he can open to what friends he chooses. This is the normal appetite of men. I do not say there are not exceptions. There may be saints above the need and philanthropists below it. Opalstein, now he is a duke, may have got used to more than this, and when he was a convict may have got used to less. But the normality of the thing is enormous. I'm reminded, reading that, of a book by George Orwell called Down and Out in Paris and London. It tells the story of when he was, in his own words, tramping about Paris and London. He worked in the kitchens of a Parisian restaurant in Paris and lived essentially in a slum while he did it. And then he literally was without a home when he was wandering the streets of London. But the thing is, Eric Blair, the real name of George Orwell, came from money. He was part of the British upper-lower middle class. So that generally means what we would think of as kind of the upper middle class. He could have gotten into a stable situation at any time he wanted it, which of course he eventually did. George Orwell was for a time, a socialist. He was obsessed with the injustice of modern society, of his day. Economic privations, all the rest of it. In the words of my hopefully still among us political theory mentor in grad school, he was disenchanted with classical liberalism because of indecency, and what he desperately wanted was a return to a decent society. George Orwell never figured out that what was, to borrow Chesterton's title, what was wrong with the world, was that it was drifting away from Christ, even in his day. The punchline to Orwell's what is wrong with the world is that the world is drifting from Christ and becoming indecent. I don't know if George Orwell, who was only coming to the fore as a writer about the time that G.K. Chesterton went to his particular judgment. I don't know if he read Chesterton's works or not. He probably did. Chesterton was kind of a big deal in his day. But it is a great tragedy that Orwell never became Catholic. You can see his disdain for the Catholic Church drip through his writings. I'm not really sure why Orwell came to mind with that, other than Down and Out in Paris and London. A fascinating read. If you ever want to see the evolution of Orwell's thoughts, read his early writings and end with Homage to Catalonia. You'll see exactly why. George Orwell went from being a socialist to calling them all silver spoon socialists, because most of them came from the upper classes. And why he would go on to write Animal Farm in 1984, which were the most brutal takedowns of that wicked ideology. Let me know what you think of this in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly helps. Sharing this on social media helps too. And let me know if you thought that this was an interesting choice for a 4th of July weekend reading for those of us in the United States. So always pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.